So Raj, can we start a little bit by hearing about your background? We know that you started 3 businesses, you sold one of them, you used content marketing to grow those businesses, and now you've started this agency, which is specifically focused on helping other businesses grow through content marketing. I love it. It all works together seamlessly. Can you talk a little bit about the businesses that you started in the past?
Yeah, sure. So my first business was in social media software. I'm actually an engineer. I studied AI at university. Fun fact, my mom thought AI was the study of UFOs when I was at university. So that's a bit of a, it's not obviously AI is what it is.
Yeah. Sorry, AI specifically for the study of UFOs?
No, so I
Oh,
studied AI at university, but my mom thought that AI was the study of UFOs. She
oh,
didn't
that's what
know,
she thought it was.
bless her. But
Sure.
there you go. So I started my first business was in social media software. Second business was actually in as a events company. It's called Hen Party in the UK, which basically is a bachelorette party. It became the UK's largest dance-based hen party company. We were doing in 40 cities. We were doing about I think 30 or 40 groups per weekend. I mean, it was insane.
Yeah.
And the company was then sold out to a family who want to get into the UK market. So that was a sale I made. And before I started Goodman Lantern, I also helped a company in Spain to grow from 7.5 million to 45 million based on content writing. So
Wow.
I believe content writing, content overall marketing is a very powerful medium to sell and grow.
Yeah. And content marketing is an extremely broad category. It encompasses everything from blogging and video and podcasting, audio, but it also includes things like SEO. Can you just give us a sort of general idea of what falls under the content marketing bucket?
Yeah, so content marketing, as you said, is very broad. And content marketing has been around for decades. I mean,
Yeah.
famously, Napoleon used to do a press release to kind of get more money for his war campaigns. PR has been around for generations, and there's been obviously
Yeah.
newspapers, and there's been text and all that sort of stuff, and then came radios and social media, and now we're embarking into Web 3.0, and who knows where we might end up with the metaverse. But at the moment, with our customers, we work primarily on blogs, articles, videos, white papers, content for the website.
Mhm.
But also, I would say overall, there are two main advantages of content. One is to really help tell a story, the company, so narrate the story, the value, the proposition, the main offering, the USP. The other thing is around sort of helping them as per our customers with the SEO, so search engine optimization to really help them grow and be seen on Google and Bing and other search engines.
Right. Because when you're producing content, for example, you're writing an article that you're having published on somebody else's platform, that has the benefit of driving traffic back to your website. And it also creates a backlink to your website, which improves your position in search results. So the search engines like to show websites that are popular as deemed by multiple quality companies linking to them, multiple quality websites linking to them. But we were discussing earlier, Raj, you and I, that search engine optimization isn't necessarily the best strategy for every business. And that is going to be crazy to a lot of the people who are listening to this, because I know a lot of business owners invest a lot in search engine optimization or SEO because they've been told that they have to, and they have to spend a couple $100 every single month on SEO. But I don't think that it's actually the strategy that some business owners should be focused on. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So SEO or optimizing for search engines is more than just writing content on your site or third-party sites. It
Mm-hmm.
requires a lot of in-depth analysis and understanding of the technical SEO, which is
Yes.
the structure of your website, how you structure your links, your pages, load time, again, the inbound links, the outbound links, the content you prepare, and the frequency of content of high quality content, and that takes a lot of time and effort. It's not
Mhm.
for everybody, but only because if not done properly, you can spend a lot of time just doing it, and actually there's no results to be seen for many, many months to come. So it's
Mhm.
important to, if you want to embark on the strategy, to really do your homework, the right people involved, really focus on the right content, the right structure of your site, the right inbound links, the right outbound links. Everything has to be done properly. Else,
Mhm.
unfortunately, the results are not as clear or obvious as it were.
Right. And it seems like there are some businesses for whom it makes a ton of sense. For example, if you are a Thai restaurant, people are going to be searching for Thai restaurants near me. And so it makes sense for you to invest in a local SEO strategy so that you can show up for amongst Thai restaurants in your geographical area. But if you're a solopreneur or you're a freelancer, and let's say you have a marketing consulting business, and frankly, it's not highly differentiated from other marketing consulting businesses, launching a website and investing some in SEO doesn't automatically mean that the entire world is your oyster, that you could start getting customers from anywhere in the world, because you're not necessarily highly differentiated. And if you spend a ton of money on SEO, it's not necessarily going to help you as directly as that Thai restaurant with a very specific focus. Do you know what I mean? People aren't looking for freelance management consultants anywhere, but they are searching for things like Thai restaurant near me. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. I would say there is a take on any business or service provider to
Mhm.
get on top of Google. So, for example, say you are a programmer for iOS, which is the your Apple phones, for example.
Mhm.
Um, if there is something you have to say which is important, and you think by being on top you can get more gigs or more contracts, then I would say go and do it. But
Mhm.
if it's going to be, you just have a website and it just stays there
Yeah.
and do nothing with it, it's not going to come on top of the Google ranking.
Right.
So it's really about thinking about the strategy and where you're going to put your hard-earned money. Is it going to
Yeah.
be on the SEO? Will be more LinkedIn, for example? Is it going to be more YouTube style stuff, for example? Maybe it'd be podcasts, for instance. So it's about understanding where you can
Mhm.
get business from. And you're right, it's not for every business, and it could make more sense for local businesses. But at the end of the day, we still Google. I mean, if you ask me,
Yes.
hey Raj, what would be the most awesome site creator in the world? And obviously the answer is Jottful. And then
Of course.
you're like, and if you search the best website, value for money, and if you guys come up first, then they'll buy from you. So
Yeah.
in that sense, important that all of us think of SEO, but important to think in the right way.
Yes. And I think you kind of nailed it right there. What you're saying is it works if you're going to be extremely niched down to the very specific search terms that they're using. So the reason why Thai restaurant near me works is because it's constrained to a very small geographic area, and even more constrained to a particular type of cuisine. Same thing if you're looking for easiest small business website, Jottful is going to show up pretty high because we are very, very focused on being easy. And if you're not willing to niche down, and I really think that every company should niche down, but you have to get very, very, very niche in order for SEO to be a smart strategy for your business. Is that what you would say, Raj?
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually a question here. Someone says about the benefit of solo real estate agents. I mean, is there, how could you benefit, for example? And I would say, if, for example, you have a very, as you said, like a very niche or a very niche sort of market, and say you were doing the properties only for Soho in New York, or Soho in London, for
Mhm.
example, and that was your niche, then if you're talking about Soho and the areas around Soho, for example, you're talking about the parks there, why to live in Soho, and the benefits, the things to do in Soho. Then you build around you and your website, some content and relevant. So when people look for Soho real estate agents, they find you, and
Mhm.
that's an awesome way to be ranked, and it's meaningful. But if you were just, if you're doing Soho and you're doing some work in Texas and some work in California, and it's likely just there's no strategy behind the site, then actually, even if you put a lot of content there, it's just going to confuse the search engines and you're not going to get it ranked anywhere.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And it's true of people too, right? Not just search engines. When you're very, very clear and you're very, very targeted, you are less confusing. And as somebody said earlier on one of our earlier shows, when you confuse, you lose. And so I think that's a great point, Raj. So can you talk, let's pull back a little bit from SEO and just talk more generally about content marketing. So you can use content in order to generate awareness or to make yourself discovered or get your business found. One way obviously is through SEO, but you just mentioned social media is another place where you can publish content and use it to be discovered.
Yeah. So again, social media and this whole what we call Web 2.0 was a revolution, because the first time you could have a to and fro communication with your customers.
Yep.
Again, it's important to choose your channel of communication. So, for example, in B2B, which is what I'm part of, business to business, it's more about LinkedIn and Twitter. Whereas if you are, for example, more B2C, then I would say Instagram, maybe TikTok, maybe Facebook is sort of more your sort of platforms to go after. And the aim really is to create content which is useful for your audience. It's not about you. Someone told me earlier, and this might sound a little bit rude, but no one cares a damn about you as a person. They don't care about your business or what you want to talk about. They want to care. They don't care about themselves. So if you talk about their problems, when you solve their issues, their challenges, that's when you can really make a dent in the market. So when you look at my feed on LinkedIn, for example, I talk about content, obviously, but also I'm a big believer of women empowerment. So a lot of our work actually is to actually get more women in tech. This is something I believe in. This is my passion. 80% of our team members are women. That's what we do.
Jottful's similar in this way, Raj. Women in tech.
It's lovely to hear. I think this is something we all should be campaigning, to be honest. So so we talk a lot about it, and I think when there's a bigger mission than yourself and making money, that's when you make a real bang. And you make you have a campaign there which is more than just making dollars for yourself. So that's what we talk about, and you get people who believe in our mission, and they trust us, and they want to come along the journey of our company and our mission.
Okay, so Raj, I have to say it's Groundhog Day, and I know if people are listening on the podcast, that's going to be old news, but it's Groundhog Day here in the US. Do you know what that is, Raj? Groundhog Day?
No, this sounds interesting. Yeah,
okay.
Educate me.
So it's a very unusual holiday where a groundhog in Pennsylvania named Puxatawny Phil, he's in Puxatawny, Pennsylvania, comes out of a hole in the ground. And if he sees his shadow, then the suspicion is that we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter. There was a movie that came out in the 90s, which I just rewatched last night, starring Bill Murray, called Groundhog Day, in which he repeats the same day over and over and over again. And then eventually it becomes the day after Groundhog Day. And the only time it finally becomes the day after Groundhog Day is when he actually spends the entire day just giving. So helping people out. A boy climbs a tree, is about to fall, and he runs in and he saves him. It's only once he figures out how to spend all of his time giving that he actually gets, which he gets the next day. And I thought that was super interesting, because I think that that's the way people need to be thinking about content marketing. What can I give? What can I give? What can I give my audience? Because it's only once you give a bunch that you're able to really get back.
Yeah. Another way of putting the same concept is karma. It's about building and giving. Like, content is not to promote yourself, is what I think, or I believe, or what we do as a company. It's about truly giving. If you look at some of the leaders in content marketing, like HubSpot, you'll see there's a lot of content there which talks about how to excel with your content strategy. So it's not about them, it's about helping you. And if you are doing social media marketing, I would say do at least 20 posts to give. If we promote even about yourself in one time. So 20:1 is the ratio, which I would go with. In fact, we don't talk about ourselves at all on social media. It's all about everybody else,
Mhm.
and how can we help them? And that's how you build trust.
Yeah.
That's how you receive at the end, is because you just happily giving things out.
Yeah. And frankly, it's just so much more enjoyable to write content that is really focused on teaching and giving and providing something of value than it is to just keep writing sales ads over and over again.
Absolutely. I think, I mean, ads are an interesting one as well. Like, when people talk about, should I do SEO or should I do ads, for example?
Yeah.
There is my observation has been that ads work as long as you put in money behind them. So when you're doing Google ads, Facebook ads, generate business for you, and they're quick. They're really quick.
Yeah.
But if you're developing a content strategy like SEO, it's a gift that keeps giving, because
Hmm.
every time you write some content, it's going to stay there for many years to come,
Hmm.
and that will trigger some SEO or ranking for you, which will help you go higher as you build more content. It will help you push the entire site up. So it's a gift that keeps giving. Even if you stop writing content, it'll still keep giving you customers, and that's why what they call inbound marketing is actually
Hmm.
a very good strategy, which is basically SEO related, content related strategy.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, just to break down a little bit those two growth engines, content marketing versus advertising, you're spot on. Content marketing has the potential to be evergreen. The content keeps delivering for you. You make it once and it keeps delivering for you over and over and over and over again. It's really an investment. Whereas an ad, you're spending on that click or that visit or the conversion, and you have to do it. You have to spend it over and over and over again. Advertising, however, is more immediate. You oftentimes get the return back very quickly. Content marketing can be more of a slow burn. Content marketing can be more time consuming because you do have to create all of that content. Whereas advertising, once you have it set up, you can just kind of keep running it. So there are pluses and minuses to both. And ultimately, it really just depends on what is going to be the right growth engine for your business and for who you are as a person and for your audience, your customer base.
Absolutely. What I would say, I would go a step forward and say, like, it's actually the content mix, the marketing mix is what's really important.
Yes.
So it's not just doing inbound or outbound or just ads or just SEO. It's a combination of everything. So
Hmm.
when you're a strategy, you're thinking of social media, thinking about video, we're talking about YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and we put them all together because that's how we will grow the company. If you just do one thing, I miss the opportunity somewhere else.
Yeah, but most small businesses, especially if you are a solopreneur or you have one employee, don't have time to do everything or don't have the bandwidth or the cash, frankly, to do everything. So would you recommend initially starting with one thing, getting some success, and then moving to the next thing?
Absolutely. If the resources are limited, then absolutely focus on one thing, get it right, and
Yeah.
then replicate the success of that on other platforms.
Mhm.
But also, it's about delegation as well. So I don't know if that's something we'll discuss as well.
Yes, that's where we're heading. That's where we're heading. So I know, Raj, one of the things you are really passionate about is making sure that business owners are working on their business and not just in their business. Can you explain that a little bit for people who aren't familiar with the concept?
Yeah. So most people start a business because they don't want to be an employee because they've had it. They've done that before, and they're like, you know what, I don't want to work with somebody else. But then they go ahead and start a business and they become their own employee. Like they're literally working for themselves, but
Mhm.
not really, because they are actually working for the company. And that was why they left that earlier company and started a new business.
Yeah.
So it's all about sort of, figuring out how do you delegate and automate your business, so that you can um, make your effort, 2x, 3x, 10x, 100x. The more you can delegate that work or automate it, you can actually make your success even quicker. Make more cash potentially, and
Mhm.
actually work less hours.
So, Raj, I think a big question is at what point do you begin to delegate and automate a task? Because everybody knows that in the beginning, you should try and do it yourself so that you
Mhm.
can really learn how to do it and you can see that it's successful. And then you start to delegate and automate. Can you talk a little bit about when you know it's time?
Well, I would say the mindset has to start from day one. So
Yeah.
from day one, like day zero, like this task I'm going to do today is eventually going to be delegated to somebody else, 100%.
Yes.
But I'm going to do
Uh-huh.
it now only because I want to learn and understand what it takes to get there. So they often say initially in a company's starting or a startup company, do things which don't scale up, and
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. So you do the stuff yourself, you sort of, you know, do the ads yourself, do the content yourself. But the aim is to find someone better than yourself to
Right.
delegate it to, who knows how to do it properly, who has experience doing it. All you have to do for them is to build a process for them. So you can firstly measure them. You can see how effective they really are with the strategy, what to avoid in that strategy when you delegate to them, and
Mm-hmm.
and what is the level of times they need to do that thing to make it successful. So say for example, you're doing content writing, you'll find someone better than yourself. You'll ask them to do it like 10 times per month, for example, and they'll be using this tool to post it, and they're doing it so often on this site, for instance, because you learn it yourself, and now
Mm-hmm.
you pass on somebody else, and you then
Yep.
go for the next task, which same thing happens again there, and you do like your next task and the next task. They start building a team, and you'll see that you'll actually spend less money eventually and make more cash for your company and grow
Mm-hmm.
faster.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that's key as you begin to delegate and automate more is that you don't eliminate the things that make your business really authentic and really special. Just to give an example of this, if you're doing YouTube advertising or YouTube content, you have a YouTube channel, and you are the face behind all the videos, you might not want to delegate your face, right? You might not want to have somebody else step in and be the talent for those videos, but you could have other people do the editing. You could have other people do the posting. You can have other people write content or scripts or all of that. I think, keeping the thing which is really special and that you uniquely can do, and then just delegating and automating the rest is probably the best direction. Is that what do you think?
I would say that's true. I think the other thing is about recruiting the right people. So when you,
Yes.
when you hire some when you hire some VAs, PAs, all the other A's, it's
Uh-huh.
about to find people who have the right core values the way you do. So I
Mhm.
think we often find people based on their skill set. We're like, okay, you can write content, great, that's super, we'll hire you. But actually, it's not only about that; it's about the value system. What do they
Mhm.
believe in? Because they're
Mhm.
going to become your foot soldiers as you grow your company. They will
Mhm.
train the next staff below them, for example, as they get higher in the ranks, for example. So you want to
Mhm.
get the right people in early on. So everybody the same belief system, the same value system, and together as a company, you represent the same mission, which
Mhm.
is super important. So if I was not on YouTube myself and somebody else was there, they still represent our thinking, which is our focus on having more women in tech, for example. That's a big
Mhm.
mission, or our value system of helping people when they're down. Like that's part of our value system. So people do that in my team. So yes, it's important to be the face of the company and sometimes be on YouTube or LinkedIn or anything else. But equally, I believe in delegation, build the next CEOs of my company so that I can then
Yes.
do something else, for example.
And when do you think you should delegate to a freelancer? When do you think you should delegate to somebody that you hire? And when should you go ahead and hire an agency like yours, like Goodman Lantern?
Um, so the answer lies in the fact that it is a feeling.
Mhm.
As I said, from day one, the aim has been to delegate stuff. And we actually hire agencies ourselves as well for other stuff which we don't do. We have
Uh-huh.
agencies for accounts, for example. We
Yeah.
don't do accounting, for instance. So we have people
Oh,
for
it's the
accounts.
worst.
It is hard. It's hard work. I mean, and you have to be top of accounts and law. I mean, that's important, isn't it? So
Yeah.
we have hired agency for that. We hire team members sometimes. They actually sometimes have to hire, members to like deliver a really large project, for instance. So it's part of our work to kind of keep looking for the next, set of people, maybe in sales, maybe in marketing, just going to help us very, kind of keep growing. Um,
Mhm.
but I would say there isn't a right answer. There's no wrong answer. It's all
Mhm.
about a feeling. But it is my mindset is do it as long as you understand the task and then bring in a better person. And everybody in my team is better than I am. In fact, I feel like the dumbest person in my company. And that's
I'm sure that's
awesome.
not true. The
Uh,
guy
but-
who studied artificial intelligence, I doubt
oh,
you're the dumbest.
well, the thing is that in areas of business,
Yes.
like content writing, editing. I mean, I'm not a content writer editor.
Yeah.
They're far better than I am.
Mhm.
Some of them have great skills for managing people, unlike, sometimes I can't manage people the way they do it, for instance.
Yep.
So, I feel proud to have smarter people than me in my company, and
Yes.
that for me is actually like I pat myself on the back and say, you know what, Raj, well done. You got better people than you in the company. You know what, take a day off and think of something else.
It really is the cheat code to success, is figuring out a little bit how to get something to work, confirming that it could work for you, and then finding somebody who's just a lot better at it and letting them run, not just bringing them on and micromanaging them, but actually letting them run and grow and own it.
That's it. Richard Branson said, train them and treat them well, and they'll stay with you. So like this is what I'm trying to do as well. Train them. Everybody comes in and says, why are you talking about numbers all the time, Roger? I'm a designer. I'm like, listen, I'm not preparing you to become a good designer.
Yes.
My aim is that you become a good CEO, because eventually I want you to become a CEO of the company. So that's the ambition.
Yeah, I love it. All right. So if you could look back, Raj, we love learning from other people's failures. Is the cheapest way to learn. Is there anything in your past that you would have done differently? Anything?
Several things. Several things. I think I would say while I'm an engineer and I like to learn. I think at some point I wasn't open to learn as quickly or as openly. I was always like there were barriers for learning. I was like, I should have learned. I've done this whole course. I've done the masters. I've done the PhD. I don't want to learn anymore. But the reality is in life, we keep learning all the time. There's something to learn every day, every hour, every minute. So that's one thing I wish I've been more open early on in my life to after university to kind of learn more. Number two, like while I'm a marketeer myself, I don't think I was eating my own dog food. I wasn't actually spending time on our own marketing because I was like so busy doing everybody else's marketing. And that was something which I wish I could go back in time and spend more time and money on marketing. Actually, a lot of SEO would be really helpful because then I would have saved some time. But on hindsight, things seem obviously. But I'm still happy that I have the opportunity to do what I do. I love what I do, and I hope that as I grow the company, we empower more women and we get more people into the workforce and actually help them become tomorrow's CEOs and leaders.
Oh, Raj, wonderful. I think your team is very fortunate to have you at Goodman Lantern. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, that's a wrap. If you enjoyed this episode of Marketing Made Easy, please subscribe to Jottful's YouTube channel. That's JOTTFUL. That way, you'll never miss an episode. We'll meet you on the next one.